If you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Once again, that's 1-800-273-TALK. Learn the warning signs of suicide and save a life.
Okay. Alright, Jugs vlog. This is Jugs here, and it's October 27th, and it's 10:50 p.m. I just heard random noises coming in my kitchen, and I'm gonna go check out to see what the hell's going on. I mean, can't hurt to try, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna record this process just to be sure if nothing, just to have evidence if something is there or not, if eventually though. So yeah, let's do that right now. Okay, so I'm out in the living room right now. Let's keep going. So this is further away. You hear that? That's the sound of the trim right there. But I hear some crunching noises literally coming from the kitchen though. Wait a second. What is that noise? Okay. That was something else. I need to take care of that monster sooner rather than later, though. Oh God. That was a good amount of breath that I need to recover from. Oh shit. I'll be back. Give me a few. What is that knocking noise? Are you serious right now? Is this monster literally knocking on my door? Oh well. Can't come in unless I got given permission. What's this? Parasite Eve? Nothing. I'm getting no reading right now. Alright. Parasite Eve, I guess. Yep, right here. I guess he left me a gift for Halloween. Maybe it was a friendly ghost all along, though. Maybe a friendly monster. Oh well. Parasite Eve it is. That's gonna be the Halloween specials looking like, though. I gotta really stop getting all these demons coming into my house during Halloween, though. This is around Halloween. It's getting ridiculous at this point now. Oh well. Let's go.
Alrighty, I'll let the intro boot and god damn it! I forgot this game takes place in New York City. Why are a piece of media gotta take pot shots at my hometown, man? Seems like everybody got a bone to pick with NY. Why can't it be Florida, Texas, or hell fucking Boston? Fuck the Boston Red Sox. Welcome, one and all, to another installment of the Halloween special with your host, JuggzMcGee. Now, I review obscure games for the longest time on my channel though, but never a JRPG, and JRPGs are my favorite genre, next to adventure games and racing games. However, for the month of horror, why not make this a first, that I review a JRPG, and that game is Parasite Eve for the PlayStation 1. Now let's get this body horror party started like it's another Junji Ito novel. Now please, don't contort yourself. I'm trying to let my audience come out alive for once still. Before I start looking into the game, I'm calling it right off the bat.
Jugs, you damn moron. This is not a horror game nor a JRPG.
To you I say, you might actually have some reasoning. But here's where you are wrong.
First of all, I'm going to call you out about something because I don't like your analysis at all. And here's the reason why. Let me tell you why.
For the 90s, this was a deviation from the JRPG genre from what you see in your Final Fantasies and Dragon Quest. Games like Vagrant Story is another example of Squaresoft breaking the mold in how a typical JRPG is played. It's not like it's their first go around in the action RPG genre. The Mana series says hello, by the way. Square even experimented with scrolling shooters like Eyehander, which is a far cry from what they developed. Now that is a game I want to look at down the line, but that is besides the point. Taking some inspiration from a little known horror game known as Resident Evil, Square decided to marry some aspects of the game and their knack of creative battle systems into one game. And poof,
Parasite Eve is born. Not that it's the first entry into the series. Fun fact, Parasite Eve started off as a popular Japanese novel of the same name. Now, I'm not going to go into the plot of that book because 1, I don't like reading, and 2, the video will come out longer than usual that it won't even reach the Halloween deadline, which I'm already cutting close to. And not enough coffee to keep me sane during the process. Damn, I'm not gonna make it to the night, am I? So if we are talking timeline-wise, this game is technically the sequel to the book. Don't worry though, you don't need to have knowledge of the book to know what is going on. In a vacuum, you can fill out holes using context clues. So where do we start with this? Why don't I spin the wheel for this? And the story it is. Set in the year 1997, the city that never sleeps, New York. Yeah, nothing like my hometown getting shown. It's the little things that count, even though the next couple of minutes the entire island of Manhattan is going to be royally fucked. So please, bear in mind if I get a little bit New York centric, pay no mind to me, I just love my city. Players take control of an NYPD officer, Aya Brea, who is in the middle of attending an opera show in Carnegie Hall on Christmas Eve.
Wait, so is this a Christmas game or a Halloween game? Do I bring out the candy? Or do I bring out my infinite playlist of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You?
¿Por qué no los dos?
You're right, kid. It is both. Just like A Nightmare Before Christmas, confusing people still to this day. I still don't know if it's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie.
As she sits down for the concert, the proverbial shit hits the fan. As many spectators start to spontaneously combust except for Aya, her cardboard cutout of a date, and the actress on stage, Melissa Pierce. I bet you the ESRB was having a grand old time rating this game, cause wow, this is definitely giving this game an M rating. Oh wait, it does have an M rating. This is the first time a Square game got an M rating, and it really does show with what the game has to offer. So what do we have? Gratuitous violence, check. Body horror, check. Bio-horror, check. Mature sexual themes, especially involving a sperm bank and fertilization, check. ESRB is really strict on biology, sheesh. With all that madness going on, Aya tells her date to buzz off and find a different girl. F's in the chat for our fallen comrade, by the way. Confronting Melissa on the stage, she says that Aya's mitochondria needs more time to develop. Yes, you hear that correctly. This is bio-horror at its finest. To put it simply, through the use of Melissa's awakened powers, she can control other people's mitochondria. And what does the mitochondria do? Produce energy, and what is the byproduct of energy? Heat, hence the conflagration of many people. Congratulations, now you understand the basis of thermodynamics.
See, I told you I was going to be using my engineering degree. I keep to my word.
During the confrontation, Melissa flees backstage and Aya gives chase. Melissa then mutates into some god-awful mix of hexadecimal from Reboot and Sorceress Adel in Final Fantasy VIII. Am I the only one that sees this? I mean, the comparisons seem pretty clear to me. This amalgamation of my childhood fears is named Eve as the beast declares herself as she disappears into the sewers. This plot spans over 6 in-game days, with each day having a major boss point in between. Throughout those 6 days, Aya will discover the origins of Eve, how Melissa became the monster she is, and not to mention how Aya is immune from Eve's control over the mitochondria. The cast of characters range from Daniel Dallas, a veteran detective in the same precinct Aya works at. He works with Aya to fight out the mitochondria threat. Daniel also has a bad habit of punching people in the face. Take a look at some of these clips. He does take his job very seriously at the cost of his marriage. As of now, he's the sole caretaker of his son Ben, whom he cannot understand why his father can spend all time protecting people but cannot protect him as a father. There's a subplot that rears its ugly head a lot of times in the story. Kunihiko Maeda, a Japanese scientist who studies mitochondria ever since the events of the original novel. Once again, you don't have to read the novel to know what is going on, you just have to know that Maeda knows about the mitochondria. After the events at Carnegie Hall, Maeda immediately flies from Japan to assist with the disaster. Biohazard? The cause? Ugh, my brain is too fried thinking about words. Without getting another blood clot, let's just start talking about the gameplay.
Ugh, gonna need my ulcer medication for this part.
Gameplay is a hybrid of Resident Evil 10 controls, unless you're playing with an analog controller, with a bit of Square Enix magic installed. In battle, Aya can move around freely in the arena which she's locked into. Side note, the game has random encounters, more on that later. During this process, she can avoid enemy attacks that come along her way while the ATB bar fills up. Once said ATB bar fills, that is when Aya can attack. Now depending on the situation, you can fire off your gun or use your parasite energy to use spells. If you fire off your gun, you are shown a green dome that shows the range of your shots. Depending on your weapon, this range can change, not to mention the range stat on your gun can affect this too. Obviously shotguns will be limited to short range, while rifles are good at picking off enemies from far away. Magic quote unquote is self-explanatory. Use your Parasite energy to cast whatever powers Aya has at your disposal. More gets unlocked when you level up, of course. Just so you know, I've been using the healing spells because some parts of the game can be BS. Upgrading your gun is, if not, one of the most important aspects of the game. The way how it works is that it requires an item called a tool. Yes, I know. Funny enough, it's very creative, the name. But anyways, once you acquire said tool, you take the stats of one gun and put it into one gun you want to use. Just by me describing, you can already tell the system is very simple and can make you overpowered by the time you are mid-game. Not only you can move stats, but you can move certain abilities a gun has. Some abilities include status effects, while some can fire off more bullets in one turn. However, the most broken ability in my opinion is when you have multiple inputs in one turn. You can easily buff, heal, and shoot an enemy all in one ATB charge. But to be fair, to a first timer, the menu navigation to upgrade your weapons can be quite cumbersome, so it will take a while for someone to know how to properly upgrade a gun. Maybe an upgrade system more akin to Resident Evil 4 would be great. Speaking of Resident Evil, item management is a big gripe I have about this game. Your item slots are limited to what armor you have, or if you use your bonus points after battle to upgrade your max item slots. Cost 100 bonus points to get one slot, by the way. One part you could be collecting junk to help you get your next weapon, but sometimes you can't just backtrack to the precinct to trade it in. You will have to complete the stage and then return the junk, completely ignoring all the potential upgrades you can get. Now, to be fair, you can exchange items that you pick from a chest, but the chest only has room for one item and not like an infinite storage that you had in the precinct. Why I keep mentioning the precinct? Well, it's the main area of the game where a lot of your item management happens, so keep that in mind if you want to return some useless items. The random encounters in this game can go from, oh snap, there are no enemies in this room, to I am literally walking in a minefield of random encounters. The rate it happens sometimes, especially in longer levels, can get you a bit when all you want to do is just finish the level, since it's starting to become more of a chore. While I admit the enemy design is badass, I mean look at this mutated dog and crabs, they're pretty metal if you ask me. I get tired of the redundancy. Include the Einstein quote about insanity is doing something over and over again, yada yada yada, just for intellectual brownie points. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to be an annoying ass New Yorker for the entire page of the script. See? This is almost an entire page of madness. Enjoy.
Hey, does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? I just made a fresh pot of coffee. Does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? Does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? What the fuck is going on, man? Do you want coffee? Hey, listen, you're fucking...
Let's get the things the game got correct. One thing is for certain that I'm confident about is the placement of Central Park. It's placed in the middle of Manhattan, hence the name Central Park. They even got bits of the Central Park Zoo like the front gates that I can give credit to. Can't comment too much about it because I'm not a big fan of Central Park, to be honest. Hashtag for Tryon dominance. Getting some quick hitters. St. Francis Hospital is literally replacing St. Vincent's Hospital, which sadly no longer exists. Soho, or south of Houston Street, looks comparable to the photos of how it looked like in the 90s before it became a paradise for the fashion industry. Disgusting. Oh, and by the way, it's pronounced Houston here in New York, and not you Yeezy ass Texans call it as Houston. Chinatown looks nothing like NYC Chinatown. One positive thing is that Square put a Pai Fong in this location when in reality there is none in NYC. For future reference, if they ever want to remake this game, include the bloody angle at Doyer Street for authenticity. Google that shit up and why is it called the bloody angle if you hate sleeping. The NYPD 17th precinct is in the correct general location, which is between Lexington and 3rd Avenue. Not that far from the Queensboro Bridge and Roosevelt Island. Props for getting that correct. Now, let's see, what else am I missing? I seem to be drawing a blank over here. Wait.
Fuck my life.
I'm probably going to need therapy once I get to this post-game content. I'm already feeling the anxiety just welling up in my head. Ugh. I'm not feeling too good about this right now. Ugh.
Mental trauma and NYC ego aside, let's check out the final acts of this game. As usual, this is spoiler territory. If you want to skip to the post-game content, go to this timestamp. If you want to skip all of that and hear my final thoughts, go to this timestamp here. I'll give you some time. Okay, let's roll the madness. So in between Eve's fiery wrath on the Big Apple, the people of Central Park get tangified by Eve. Daniel loses his wife in the process. A fight in the horse carriage breaks out between Aya and Eve. Ben gets attacked by a mutant police dog. Maya reveals the origin of Eve as a result after all this madness. It all goes back to Japan, where a scientist decided to culture the cells of his dead wife after a car accident. As the culture developed, it became humanoid, almost if not exactly like his wife. During said tragedy, his wife's organs were transplanted to a woman named Mariko Anzai, who happens to have the same first name as Aya's mom. Now I admit, this part is a bit blurry because of that name drop. Mariko has been a highly contested topic due to the plot holes and inconsistencies which make the entire series confusing, including the novel. Thought I would mention that since I would like to make a video about these inconsistencies down the line. Let me know what you think. Anyways, Maeda infers from that incident, Eve's ultimate goal is to give birth to an ultimate being. Doing so requires the other half for any sexual reproduction process, the big nut. Where does she get the nut from? A sperm bank. Lucky for her, St. Francis Hospital has a sperm bank, which Aya and the gang tried to prevent her from attaining. As Aya traverses through the hospital, she finds hospital records of her mom Mariko and her sister Maya, who we've been seeing in flashbacks and apparitions throughout the game, revealing how they died in the process, a car accident killing the both of them while Aya was in critical condition. It is revealed in these documents that after the car accident, Maya's kidneys were donated to Melissa. After the transplant, Melissa felt constantly ill and took immunosuppressants to prevent her immune system from rejecting the kidney, when in reality it was the mitochondria taking control over her. The drugs has made the process easy. This basically assumes that Maya was supposed to become the host of the original Eve. Now, how is Aya able to resist the mitochondria? She had a cornea transplant because Aya was born with a degenerative eye condition. Whose cornea was used? Maya's cornea, which gave her the ability to resist the mitochondria and have powers for it too. So in essence, there are two Eves. On her way to the hospital roof, Aya encounters Eve, who is destroying fighter planes the armed forces sent out. Of course, this is a failure since the pilots were tanged in the process. Eve reveals that she has already taken the nut from the sperm bank course. This confrontation gets interrupted by the planes Eve took over and is now targeting a crash to the hospital, and not to mention she creates a
As an arachnophobe, that's a low blow. Now excuse me while I go puke.
Killing the monstrosity, Aya escapes the hospital roof before the fighter planes crash. She reunites with Daniel and Maeda, who inform her that Melissa, the host body of Eve, has been visiting Clamp at the museum. This is where shit goes down, even if this is the most annoying dungeon in the game. Once Aya makes her way to Clamp's office, Maeda finds out that Clamp held Melissa, who taken over by Eve by then, to create a sperm cell without the male mitochondria so that she could give birth to the ultimate being. Clamp appears in order to kill Aya, but Daniel as usual punches his way through. Clamp reveals that the engineered sperm has been implanted into Eve and that she will give birth to the ultimate being with no hitches. Clamp then asks Eve to take him, quote unquote. If take him means burning him in the process, then yeah, he got what he wanted. After killing several dinosaurs later, like seriously, when this became Dino Crisis all of a sudden? Anyways, Aya finds a pregnant Eve looking like she's about to burst at the seams at any moment. Of course, they're going to have a confrontation. It's written in the Bible of Parasite Eve, you should know this at this point. Till the massive tank decides to swoop Eve away in order to protect the birth of the ultimate being, looking like something out of Akira. The military, being useless as usual, can take down the slime creature without the pilot spontaneously combusting. You can definitely smell the adenosine triphosphate from here. Delicious. What? That's ATP. Did you not pay attention in biology that doesn't involve sexual reproduction? Don't you lie on me. Without any options left, the military pathetically asks Aya for help to attack the slime creature from a chopper. Unceremoniously, the plan works as the slime monsters destroy at the cost of the Statue of Liberty.
See, I know the Statue of Liberty is a tourist trap, but son of a bitch, you're really gonna make me defend that mass oxidized piece of copper? Cause holy shit, please don't make me do it. I beg of you, please.
Now this is where Aya gets to face off Eve on the now wrecked Liberty Island. Now, I gotta admit, this battle was pretty tough. Her grab attack, while easy to avoid, does a lot of damage to you. 500 HP can reduce you to 250 HP in a heartbeat. Her second form is where shit gets real. There are moves where she can stun you and then blow you away with her AoE. Just make sure your pack revives for this matchup. Eve finally succumbs to her battle wounds and melts away into the tangy mess where I used to, thus ending her reign of terror in the Big Apple, or so we thought. Before that happens, however, I and the gang are resting on a naval vessel for what seems to be 5 days of hell. This part is important because you meet up with Wayne, the guy who runs the storage unit in the precinct. He gives you the option to engrave your weapon with a badass name. Decided to give my handgun my online handle for the armor named the Genji in reference to the Genji armor set in Final Fantasy, which are known to be top tier armor. Reason why you want to engrave them is that because these weapons transfer when you do a new game plus. With the events that happen in the post game, it is much needed. After everything has been said and done, the cast only have a bit of time to relax because the ultimate being has appeared out of nowhere. Did Eve just pulled off a berserk? You know, like how Guts was born after his mom died? And I'm the only one that's drawn that parallel? Don't leave me hanging, please. No offense to Guts' mom though. The ultimate being has 4 phases where the first phase is pretty easy to handle, second phase is okay, third phase is okay, what the fuck is this? Like, how is this battle fair? The fourth form is not that much of a battle because it's basically scripted unless you die in the process. So what is happening here is that the ultimate being is going through its final stage of evolution and it's impervious to damage. After realizing how invincible it is, Aya almost gave up hope. Until Maeda gives a special ammo type to Daniel in which he risks his life for when delivering to Aya in the most badass style ever. All while he's on fire, no thanks to the mitochondrial effects of the ultimate being. The bullets that Daniel risked his life for contain Aya's cells, which in turn cancel out the ultimate being's powers. And cancel it out it does because these bullets do a whopping 999 damage to it. That's the magical Square Enix number to know that you are overpowered to no end. Honestly, a reprieve from the last couple of battles we went through, which is needed for my own sanity. Of course, the ordeal ain't over since the son of a bitch, I said it funny, decides to chase you down the entire fleet. Square gotta add some extra tension to the end, don't they? Aya initiates the self-destruct sequence of the fleet to put the Chaos Wannabe into an underwater coffin. The vessel pulls off of Michael Bay and Aya escapes from the madness that she endured, therefore ending the 6 days of chaos that happened to New York as it gets to live another day from being killed off by many visual artists. After the events, our crew decides to go back to Carnegie Hall to make up for what happened on Christmas Eve. Midas shows his feelings to Aya even though it's painfully obvious when playing the game, but of course, he was cock-blocked by Ben since the show was about to start. The play continues like normal, but suddenly we are cut to a scene where Aya communicates with the audience's mitochondria and their eyes glow pink as a result. The ending is meant to be ambiguous, but the way how I took it is one way or another the mitochondria will threaten again, leaving a possibility that another Eve event will happen down the line, which is not good. Then it gets retconned in Parasite 2 and then completely ignored in the third part.
Well, there you have it with the game. Now, see, I would normally end it here though, but we have one big elephant in the room that I have to be dealing with. The post-game content. See? Ugh. Just feeling it, I just felt a little bit of a... Oh no, I'm getting war flashbacks about this. I'll get back to you on that.
When you finish the game, you unlock EX Game, which is basically new game plus some extra content. That extra content includes access to the Chrysler building, where all the powerful enemies decided to gather for some strange reason. I'm surprised that none of you got my hint on Twitter. I thought it was pretty obvious, but that is besides the point. Do y'all want to know how much floors the Chrysler building has? It has 77 floors in real life, and Square decided to implement all 77 floors into the goddamn game. See, if I was playing this game normally, I would have not done it, but since I love you all, and partially to fulfill my masochist tendencies, I decided to do it for you. I must really hate my life for doing this. The reason why you want to do this is because it unlocks the true ending of the game, which is considered non-canon because of Parasite Eve 2, but we will get to that part when the time comes. So what goes on each floor? A gauntlet of enemies and bosses which you have to fight at every floor. Although a daunting task, the items, weapons, and power-ups are among the best the game has to offer. You also get trading cards which can be given to Wayne for 2 modifications to your weapons instead of your typical one. If you give him around 9 to 12 trading cards, he'll give you a toolkit which gives you an unlimited set of tools. If you get all 14, he'll give you a super toolkit which gives you an unlimited amount of super tools. Here's the big kicker. Every floor in this mega dungeon is randomized, so don't depend on the walkthrough for this part since you're going to get a different result in your run. Luckily, the gaming gods decided to give you time to relax for a bit because after every 10 floors, you can have a chance to save your progress along with access to the elevator key to each save floor. That is assuming you beat the corresponding floor boss. Minus the 70th floor and onwards, the bosses you fight are tougher variations of the bosses you have seen before. So if you know the strategy, then you pretty much know how to handle them. They just have a higher HP pool and of course their attacks are amplified. Floor 70 is a boss you never encountered before, the Queen Bee and your minion bees.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes! Eyes! Ah! Ah!
Nicolas Cage's fears aside, this lack of royalty has 12,000 HP, but depending on your weapon set, you can make quick work of this beast. Afterwards, once you make it to floor 77, the true final boss appears and its corporeal form happens to be Maya, the original Eve before the tragic car accident. The final boss explains to Aya that Clam cultivated the cells of the original Eve, Maya, to analyze. When Melissa Pierce is giving birth to the ultimate being, she created a nest in the Chrysler building. In case Melissa and the ultimate being failed, the purebred would still remain as a result. Aya talks to Maya for a bit since she was in some form of control, then they engage in battle. The purebred has taken Aya's liberated form and can use similar attacks to Aya. Side note, I have no use for the liberate form in my playthrough since I wanted to prioritize healing. Also, do you want to see a quick and swift death of the most powerful being in this game? Because you will get one. Roll it. Light work if I do say so myself. After the purebred is defeated, the mitochondria inside Aya begin to rebel against her. The explanation is that Aya's mitochondria have now reached a higher evolutionary stage than Maya's, but Maya's personality has suddenly become dominant and begun to fight off Eve's persona. Maya eventually wins, purging the Eve persona from herself and protects Aya by preventing the original Eve from taking over her. Aya realizes that Maya will always be with her and goes home. And that is pretty much the true ending to Parasite Eve, even though it's considered non-canon since Square took the original ending of the game and retconned the shit out of it and used that as the basis for Parasite Parasite 2. Can't help but feel that my time was wasted after researching this part of the game though, and it's kind of a shitty feeling if you ask me though.
Now you can finally see where the source of my migraines are. It's gonna leave me a bad taste in my mouth that only time will heal. But what can I do? It was a product of its time. But before I decide to rant on even longer, here is my final summation for Parasite Eve on the PlayStation 1. Parasite Eve is a different take on Square's past endeavors on the JRPG genre. While they hit the nail on the head on gameplay, mechanics, and even the music and setting too, the story kind of leaves you a little bit more, since it kind of leaves you a little bit on the edge of it. Gotta give credit where credit is due though. At least Square tried to break the mold a bit when it comes to their formula during that time. Is this game a classic? Yes it is. Does it really desperately need a retelling and a remake of a la Final Fantasy VII Remake? Yes, it definitely does though, because you can tell some of the parts of the game are vastly outdated and it desperately needs it. With all that being said, my final score gets a Daniel Dallas punching random strangers on the streets out of 10. Now, I know this project is a big undertaking, and I thank you, my viewers, for hanging on as long as possible for me to produce this video, because holy hell, this took a lot of resources out of me, and I wouldn't be surprised if I got a little bit of burnout once this video has been published. I do want to do reviews of JRPGs though, but as you can tell by the link of this video on the bottom of the timeline right here, that it really does take a lot of research and a lot of footage to record just for this one video though. I wouldn't be surprised if the video actually made it 30 minutes now that I'm thinking about it though, but yeah, that's how long it takes, and I'm just a one-man show, so yeah, I would appreciate if you guys at least show some love at least to this video though, so that way I could at least have some sort of bit of a motivation. Not like that I lack motivation to begin with though, but at least to show that you guys do want to see me do JRPGs down the future though, so that way I can at least keep them somewhat consistent, if you get what I'm saying though. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of closing though. So yeah, before I tend to close off though, I gotta check up on that monster that's hanging out over there that I left out over there. But that's a story for another day though. But yeah, as usual, thank you for another Halloween special, joining me on another Halloween special. This is Jug signing off, and see you on the next part of whatever video I'm gonna be doing next. Yeah, but yeah, see you guys then.